Welcome to our show on Health Matters. My name is Chizoba Eze. On Health Matters today, we are going to talk about mental illness. As we all know, mental illness is a mental disorder that can affect anyone, regardless of age or socioeconomic status. To help us discuss and understand it better, we have Tochukwu Ofodile, my co-discussant, to join us in the show. We welcome Tochukwu Ofodile to the show. We hope you will enjoy the show. Share this video to everyone around you, your family and friends, and to strangers, because this will help them to live a healthy life. Tochukwu, over to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Nice to be
You're
here on
welcome.
this show. Health Matters. Yeah, thank you. Health Matters is one important show or opportunity for people uh, to get to interact with people or experts to learn more about their health. And so I think today, on this show, it's a very important opportunity for listeners or people who have the privilege of participating in this uh, show. So on Health Matters today, we'll be looking at mental illness. So mental illness, not just one, but mental illnesses, otherwise known as mental disorder. Okay. So
Yes.
we'll be looking at mental disorder. As we all know, as we may be aware, as a a condition that involves emotions, thinking, behaviors, and so on and so forth. You know, Sometimes it can even involve both thinking and behavior. So a lot of things associated with mental illness can be associated with distress, problem, functioning. Sometimes they have challenges functioning in the social space, working space, or even in family participating activities. You know. So mental illness, most of the times, is something that we shouldn't be ashamed of. Because as a medical problem, it is just like a normal illness. It can be like a heart disease. It can be like like diabetes that people face every now and then. And these days that we have better understanding of the workings of the brain, of the human brain, it is a lot easier to develop medications or better ways to manage mental illness. Therefore, there shouldn't be a situation where people will be worrying as to maybe this is sort of a condemnation or or an abnormality that cannot be handled. This is about what do you think?
Yes, it is true. As a mental health advocate, I mean to say, I started about the awareness because I realized most people don't like talking about their feelings, sharing their feelings with their um, neighbors or family and friends because of the stigma or the discrimination that comes with it. So everybody, like most of the times, wants to carry the burden all by themselves. So that's all I can say for now.
Okay. Well, that is interesting. Obviously, a lot of people are aghast to as to what becomes of them or their family members when they face mental illness. This affects productivity. When we talk about let us even look at mental health itself.
Okay.
You know, it has to do because oftentimes people misunderstand what is this whole thing about mental illness. An average human being is expected to function normally. That is when you now want to talk about the mental state of every human being. So a normal human being
Yeah.
is expected to, get involved in daily activities or go about their daily activities in a certain manner. And that is why most of the times you classify a person who is normal by the productivity, the daily productivity, the daily involvement in maybe in working place, in school, in other activities that a normal human should get involved in. You also consider or determine a normal person by the kind of relationship they keep. Sometimes you refer to it as a healthy relationship, and then also look at their ability to adapt to change or cope in adversity or adversaries. You know, so when you look at mental health, you look at as a foundation for emotion, thinking, communication, learning, resilience, hope, and self-esteem. You use that to analyze or to determine that this person is in a good health state. So you look at everything that has to do with how a human being is interacting with one another, how what they do from time to time or perhaps on daily basis determine or contribute to their physical environment. So, and it is said, according to the American Psychiatric Association, they look at the way a person relates, how they relate with people. They talk about their personal and emotional well-being and how it contributes to community or society. And they also said that it can influence and be influenced by physical health. So when many people with mental illness do not talk about their condition, you don't blame them because it is it is it is because people often it has to do with the brain naturally. So people often don't understand what this is all about. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so the
Yeah.
good news is that if a person has a mental condition, whether we call it mental disorder or mental illness, there is hope depending on the state. It varies from mild to severe states. So depending on the form, attentions or medical attentions can be offered. There are some that you can attend to using therapy. There are some that you can manage using drugs. So the bottom line here is that mental illness is not a death sentence. It's not largely, it's not a case of our people, the way our people look at it, that the person has been condemned by the gods, or that somebody somewhere in the village or their village people have decided to deal with them. Let us also not forget that mental health has to do, has does not discriminate actually. I'm very much aware that both high and might are affected. I
Yes.
know cases of doctors who are adversely affected, most of whom did not survive. There are, you know, common
This
cases. There are recent cases. Yes,
like the comic actors. That one, I was so surprised. A comic actor to commit suicide, a comedian to commit suicide. That was 2014. Robbins Williams. So when I read the news, I asked myself how
mm,
somebody who makes people laugh committed suicide. So I couldn't comprehend the whole situation there. But as I kept reading and researching concerning the mental illness and the mental health conditions, I know that nobody is exempted. It can happen to anyone. So if you don't take care of your mental health, then the probability of you suffering from one mental disorder to another is high.
that is true. It is not discriminatory. Nobody is spared when it wants to come, and it doesn't look at age. It's not age sensitive. It's not gender sensitive. It's not
Mm-hmm.
geographical
Yeah.
sensitive. It's not selective to who earns more. It's not selective to social status, ethnicity. Just like Chizoba mentioned, it does not select status, social status. I'm aware of doctors. When I make reference to doctors, I mean, people who help to, provide care to people who are seen to know all as far as human health is concerned. So it it's something that calls for concern. It's something that everybody should be aware, and that's why I'm happy that this show is up and running to be an opportunity, with Chizoba, a mental um, health advocate who will take us through that journey for a substantial time. And I'm sure we're going to enjoy ourselves. We're going to learn a lot. You know. So even those people who are chief priests in the villages who give impression about certain things, regarding mental health, or mental illness, are not spared when it is time. That's why some people say that the gods have struck him mad, or
Yes.
that struck the chief priest mad or something. So th- those were those days. But now
Yes.
there are a lot of factors that could contribute to mental illness. Is
Yes. So looking at the factors, that's we are talking about the causes. What might cause mental illness? And these factors are
even
grouped
before you go there,
into
even before
Mhm.
even before you get to the factors that can cause mental illness, you would look at the World Health Organization's observation. In 2019, as of 2019, there
Yes.
was one, they say 1 in 8 people have mental illness globally.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
was about 900 and something million people. But as at the year 2020,
Yeah.
grew by 20
During the
years,
pandemic, COVID,
grew by 26 to 28%, because
that is a
a
huge.
lot of the attention of the world shifted to managing those infection, the global pandemic, COVID. So, and with the global economic meltdown, with so many frustration people are facing now, the chances of,
Unemployment,
you know, if
people lost their job.
high rising unemployment, so
Yeah.
so many situations would warrant, a lot of rising cases of mental illness. I'm sure Chizoba will take us through the factors causing mental illness, and I'm sure in the coming days you also take us through uh, the types of mental illness. So Chizoba, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much. So looking at the factors of that's what might cause mental illness. They are categorized into three parts. The first one is the brain chemistry. Here we are looking at the chemical imbalances in our brain. So brain chemistry refers to the complex interplay of chemicals in our brain that helps to regulate our mood, behavior, and other infections. So examples of these chemicals is dopamine and serotonin. We have other ones, but because of time, we are going to focus on these two. So serotonin is often called happy chemicals because this plays a role in our feelings of well-being, happiness, and satisfaction. So what it means that when we have these chemicals in a low level, it can lead to depression and anxiety. Then, on the other hand, dopamine is involved in our motivation, reward, when we get to reward and learning. So, low level of it will also link to addiction and Parkinson's diseases. So, misuse of alcohol and drugs can actually cause increase or interfere with these chemicals in our brain. And that's when you start having symptoms of what? Mental illness. Then the second one is the life experiences. Life experience is the knowledge and understanding that we gain through living. And this knowledge can be positive and negative. And here, the negative ones is the one that can actually cause mental illness or disorder. Example of the life experiences, that's the knowledge, is childhood abuse, trauma, and neglect. So that's why it's always very important for parents to always bond with their children while they are growing. It's always important because that will help the child to, be open and help him or her to relate with people around him easily, or her. I mean, then other examples, we are looking at domestic violence, loss and grief. When we are grief, maybe you've lost someone so close to you, you will cry and feel sad. All those emotions will later accumulate, and if care is not taken, it will metamorphose to mental health issue. Then the third one is the genetics and the family history. It's also stated that it can be hereditary. So what it means that if any of your parents or maybe your grandparents was once had a mental issue or mental disorder like schizophrenia, the probability of another person, that's the younger generation, to have or to develop such a mental illness is also there. Though there's still no research to back this up, science are still looking at it to determine what genes can actually lead to mental illness. In all this, it's advisable that we take care of ourselves, because through their life experiences, that will lead to stress. When you're being abused, whether physical or emotional, even the traffic we face every day, that can lead to stress. And if we don't once in a while unwind, it can lead to mental illness. In our next episode, we are going to look at other causes of mental illness, like other what might cause mental illness. They are numerous or countable. But the summary of the whole thing is for us to take care of ourselves and share your feelings with your families and friends, notwithstanding whatever. You don't have to think about what they will say, because they say that problem shared is half solved.
Problem shared is half solved. Um, and thank you for making such providing such important information. I'm sure that our followers have learned one or two or even more. We look forward to the next episode. The topic, mental illnesses, and also make case studies so that people will have
Yeah.
a clearer understanding.
This case study of a thing reminded me, man, it was a woman beating her mother while she was taking her bath. So when I saw the video, go to comment, people were bashing the lady, why you're beating your mother, and blah, 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 blah. And I said, this lady, this woman now that is, that poured her frustration on the mother needs help. It's because it's unfortunate that we, in our part of our world, we don't understand some certain things. She needs help. Maybe because it's not easy. That's why the white people, they have old people's home. You see, as an adult, you have your own issue, your emotional stress, everything, and you come back home to me, because sometimes I'm not trying to justify what she did, but before we condemn somebody's action, we will try to analyze what might cause that. There is no sane human being that will beat his or her mother. Even our animals cannot do that. So please, I believe that most people, a lot of people who can remember this video I'm talking about. So that is one out of other videos or stories we hear about people's actions and behaviors, you know. But because we don't listen, we don't take care of to analyze things, we just conclude and condemn whoever that's was at fault. So that's what I wanted to chip in. I remember what you said when you said Kingsley, and I remember that video. I pity the woman and her mother. Two of them need help, like mental help. But it's unfortunate. I don't even yeah, we don't have that facilities where if you are not feeling okay, aside from your family members, then you can go and talk to somebody who can advise you on what to do. But with time, we hope to get there one day, very soon. That is all we have
Okay, so guys, that is
for
all we
today's
have on this
episode.
show for this episode, and
Mhm.
we look forward to yes, we look forward to the next episode. Sure, you follow, share, and bring this to the knowledge of your friends, family, and even enemies, because no one deserves to wallow in ignorance. Look forward to having you another time. Chizoba, it's nice having me on this show.
All right. You're welcome.